I believe we are now live. All right. I'm so excited today to share these really crazy cool ideas for canned carrots. First, I just want to say this kitchen smells amazing because one of the dishes I had to pre-cook so it would finish in the time frame for our video, but oh my goodness, I'm excited. I'm mostly excited because I'm not a huge fan of canned carrots, and I'm going to just start there because they're not the best to me. I would rather eat carrots raw than cooked generally. So when I was doing my research to figure out what kind of recommendations I could make for canned carrots, I came across some really cool ideas. So I'm going to make 3 different dishes to show you some examples on how to use them. I guess I should say hi, I'm Kristen Elliott from the Atlanta Community Food Bank, and this is episode number 21 of Quarantine Kitchen. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So the 3 dishes I'm going to make today, I'm going to make a basic spaghetti sauce with pureed carrots in the sauce. It's like a true hidden carrot in there. The second thing I'm going to make is a carrot cake baked oatmeal for breakfast. You can also prepare it without the egg and make it a stovetop oatmeal with your canned carrots in it. And that's what smells really amazing because it's baking right now. And then the third thing I'm going to make is a honey mustard glazed carrot. So there's one resource in our resource folder that is linked in the caption that's called Healthy Ways to Use. And the topic of that handout is all about, hiccuping over here. The handout has 6 different ways that you can glaze your canned carrots. And the honey mustard version spoke to me because I'm a huge mustard fan. So I decided to make that one for you. But first off, I'm going to get started with the baked oatmeal because it's going to take the longest amount of time to prepare. So first off, this is 1 can of canned carrots. So I drained off the liquid and I rinsed them with water to just get the salt off of them. So they have about 250 milligrams of sodium per serving, which isn't terrible. It's right there at the brink of almost too high in terms of per serving individual ingredients. So for the recipe, it called for salt. So I decided not to add any salt because our carrots had previously been canned in salt. So we're going to see how it turns out and then determine if we actually needed to add the salt to it, just a tiny bit. So first thing I'm going to do for my carrots is I'm going to take a potato masher. You can use a fork. You can also puree these. But for the carrot cake oatmeal, it's nice to have some little chunks of carrot in there. So you could also make this recipe with fresh carrots, and you would grate them up with the smallest hole on your cheese grater. So that's also an option. You can use a food processor there, but we don't always have food processors. So this works just fine, and so does a fork or a Ziploc bag that you pass on to your kiddo and have them mash it, because boy, is that fun. I'm an adult and I think it's fun to mash them inside the bag. Okay, so here we go. So I'm just mashing it up. I'm not doing it too fine. Once I get the whole mixture mixed together, I will take my spatula, and if I see any larger chunks, I will mash them with my spatula. But we want it to be just a little bit chunky. Okay, so that is the consistency of my cakes. All right. Let me grab my larger bowl. There we go. So this is my carrots. To my carrots, I'm going to add 1 egg. Let me also share with you that this is half of the recipe. So for the whole recipe, the original recipe, you're going to use 2 eggs. I'm just making half because I already baked half to begin with. So I've got my 1 egg here. I'm going to go ahead and add my seasonings and my baking powder. So I used pumpkin pie spice because it has all of the seasonings that were requested in the recipe. So cinnamon and nutmeg. Pumpkin pie spice also has ginger and cloves, which are just interesting other warming spices. So those are good options. You can just use cinnamon, or if you have individual cinnamon and nutmeg, apple pie spice will work. Any of those seasonings will work. So those are my seasonings and my baking powder. I'm gonna add my brown sugar. So the whole recipe calls for about 1/3 cup of brown sugar, which isn't too much. I like that. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna give this a good mix to get my egg mixed in there. I'm gonna use my spatula to just mash down my carrots. Let's go. I just saw, so there's a big chunk of carrot that didn't get mashed up. So I'm just gonna use my spatula and mash it in there to get it smaller, but not disappear completely. All right. So carrot combo is done. So next thing I'm going to add is my milk. So I'm using 2% milk. So this is 1 cup. The whole recipe calls for 2 cups. So here's my milk. There we go. All mixed in together. And then these are, I'm going to go ahead and add in my oats. So this is 1.5 cups for half of the recipe. Calls for 3 cups total. You can use 1 minute oats, which are a lot finer in texture, or you can use just regular rolled oats. The only difference there is that 1 minute oats cook faster, but for the sake of this recipe, the cooking time isn't really going to change because it has to cook through in the oven and absorb all of the liquid and also cook the egg. So the cooking time shouldn't change in the oven. So I'm going to go ahead and add my oats. So I mentioned that you can also make this on the stove top. All you would need to do is leave out the egg mixture. Start with the same things that I started with here with the carrots and the seasonings and mix that all in over your stove top. And then you'll add your milk and let it get warm. And then you'll stir in your oats and you'll cook it according to the cook time on your package of oats. So let's see, I found some more big clumps of carrots. So I'm just going to smash them against the side of the bowl just to make sure that they aren't too big. Okay. My oat mixture. When I first made this, I decided to let it sit for a minute and let the oats just soak up the milk just a little bit before I added it to my greased casserole pan. So I'm going to just set this aside. I'm going to come back to it in just a minute because the really cool part about this is carrot cake is a carrot cake without cream cheese. So there is a really small amount of cream cheese drizzle that we're going to put on the top. So let's put that together. So for the whole recipe, you're going to use 4 ounces of cream cheese, which is half of a block, like this size block. So this is my half of that. So we're going to say 1/4 of a block of cream cheese. It's room temperature. It's going to make it a lot easier to mix together. So we've got our cream cheese. You're going to need an egg yolk, and then you're going to need some brown sugar and a little bit of vanilla to mix it all in there with your cream cheese. So this is 1 egg yolk, brown sugar, and my vanilla. Okay, so I'm going to just add this to my cream cheese here. The last thing I'm going to add is a little bit of lemon juice to balance it out. So if you don't have lemon juice, it will be fine if you don't have lemon juice. You could also use like cream of tartar in place of lemon juice if you have that. That's not a common thing that most people would have in their pantry unless they are big bakers. So just omit it if you don't have it. So I'm going to start by mashing the cream cheese down. This is going to take a little bit of elbow grease. The first round that I made, I actually put the cream cheese in the microwave for like 10 seconds just to warm it up because it was too cold earlier. Okay, so mix, mix, mix. So this cream cheese topping is a real treat, but like the amount that you get per serving is not that much. So this is fine to incorporate to your regular breakfast routine because it's not a lot that you're getting in your serving of oatmeal. Okay. So we're gonna have some clumps in here that are cream cheese. It has to be expected. It's kind of like icing. So you see how I'm rubbing this across the side of the bowl? That's how you get big lumps out. So you're spreading the cream cheese like all around the inside of the bowl. And you can see when you find a lump, it will turn really light. I don't know if you can see this, but there's some really light. No, you can't see that. Okay. I tried. You'll see the white whenever it's white cream cheese that you're spreading and it's not the color of the egg and the sugar mixed in. It just helps you know that you've got all the lumps out. So, yep, just spreading it around. Okay. This smells amazing. That, I think, is that's our first round of oatmeal. Okay, so I'm just going to add the tiny little drop of lemon juice. Just a couple drops to balance that out. Perfect. So that is our little cream cheese topping to go on top of our carrot cake oatmeal. So I'm using a loaf pan because this is half of the size of the original recipe. I'm going to use some nonstick spray. You can use any oil or butter that you might have here. Just use a small amount and rub it around inside to make sure nothing sticks. So I'm going to take my mix here. So the milk has absorbed a little bit into the oats, which is what I wanted. And then last but not least, I'm going to add some chopped walnuts. The recipe calls for chopped walnuts, golden raisins, regular raisins. I just decided to add the walnuts. If you have someone in your household that can't have nuts or tree nuts, you feel free to omit the nuts. And then you can put them on the top if you want to for your individual serving if you really want to add some walnuts. Those walnuts are just going to add to the heart healthy aspect of this whole breakfast because oats are the enemy of cholesterol. So your walnuts are just going to assist the oats. So I'm going to go ahead and pour this in my dish. Get it all in there. Okay. So I'm going to even it out just so it's got a flat top. Now, recipe says to drizzle this cream cheese. It's not a really great drizzle type consistency, so you're going to have some little globs on the top, but it's got the egg in it, so it's going to cook kind of like cheesecake. I'm excited. So we're just going to like put some little globs, and then like after that, I'm going to smooth them out. So, glob here. I think I might be, we're going to let Joy be our taste tester later because we're on the same page about not a huge fan of canned carrots. I think I might be changing her mind. I hope. We'll see if you can make a believer out of me. Let's see it. You can make a believer out of me. You can make a believer out of me. That's true. Okay. So a little bit more cream cheese. Okay, so I'm just going to take my spatula and I'm just going to rub it across the top and try to spread that cream cheese out just a little bit so it's even for all the servings. Okay, that is what it looks like when it goes in the oven. It's really bright. Let's see. Oh my goodness, that's so much better. That's what it looks like when it goes in the oven. It is going to bake at 375 for about 45 minutes. Let's take a look at our final product over here. I'm going to slide this in the oven. Oh my God, that looks good. Let's turn the oven off. Okay. Just go timer. This is our final product for the baked oatmeal. So you can see that the cream cheese browned on the top. And it smells amazing. Okay, I'm just gonna give it a minute to cool over here in the corner, and we're gonna continue. We're gonna taste test all at the same time. Okay, that's out of the way. So second dish I'm gonna make today is just your simple spaghetti sauce with carrots mixed into it. So for our first dish, we mashed the carrots. For spaghetti sauce, I pureed them. So they're going to be a lot smoother and mix in really well with the sauce. So here's my ingredients. You see how small amount of ingredients we have here? Making a homemade tomato sauce can be very, very easy. It doesn't have to be complicated. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my can of tomato sauce. This one just happens to be no salt added. The cool thing about canned tomato products is they usually don't have a ton of salt added to them. They're usually canned in tomato juice, and the salt is usually pretty low. So we recommend no salt added often or low sodium for our canned products, but canned tomatoes are just a little bit out of that box of recommendations. I've got my pasta cooking over here. Oh, we got some pasta sticking. That's okay. We might have one clump of pasta. It'll be fine. How's our timer doing on the pasta? For 9 minutes? Yeah. It's done? Okay. Let me drain my pasta. Okay, I'm just going to slide this. Here we go. Perfect. I got a perfect view of my pot there. Okay, so I'm going to make my pasta sauce in this pot. I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil because without fat, we can't absorb all of the nutrients in our food. So I'm just using a little olive oil. And as soon as that is warmed up and it moves very easily across the whole pan, I'm going to first add my garlic powder to the oil. So that might sound weird, but all that's going to do is it's going to infuse the oil in your pan with the garlic flavor. So you can use fresh garlic here if you want to. You can add onions if you want to add an extra layer of flavor. You're welcome to do that. But for today, I'm making the most simple version of a spaghetti sauce. Okay, so got my spatula here. This is my pureed carrots. So what I did when I added them to the blender, I took the little cap off the top of the lid, and I took the juice from the canned carrot and I added it in to the carrots as they were blending to just make sure that they were moving around. Because if things are too dry, it's not going to move around and the blender is going to get really loud. And that's because nothing is moving. So I used the canned carrot juice to just loosen it up a little bit. I didn't use very much, maybe just a couple tablespoons. And that's how we have this beautiful, silky canned carrot, not canned carrot, I mean, it's canned carrot. Pureed carrot consistency here. It looks like baby food. You could feed this to a baby. You are low on your baby food for the month, or you're just wanting to try something new and they haven't had carrots yet, this is a very simple way to make your own. Okay, so I'm not measuring anything for this. I'm just going to add some garlic. I'm going to just stir it around until I can smell it. That's when you know the oil has absorbed the flavor of the garlic. Okay, so I'm using plain garlic here, garlic powder, not garlic salt, because if you use garlic salt, you can't control how much salt is in your whole dish. And if you're really paying attention, you would need to limit the amount of garlic salt that you use, therefore limiting the amount of flavor that your dish has. So use a garlic powder, and then you can add salt to taste according to your preference and your possible dietary restrictions. Okay, so that is my oil with my garlic, and this is just plain old tomato sauce. There we go. Get that all out of there. Mix it up. And then we're just going to bring it to a bubble. It's really that simple. I'm going to add some Italian seasoning in just a minute. Just a little combo of Italian seasonings. It's got oregano, marjoram, thyme, rosemary, and sage. If you have those individual spices, feel free. You don't need to get an Italian seasoning, but also if you don't have any of those, you can get the cheap Italian seasoning mix from your local grocery store, and then you're covered. You've got them all. Okay, so I'm just gonna let that come to a bubble. Actually, let me go ahead and add my carrots so it cooks together. This is half of a can of carrots because I didn't want to add equal parts carrots and tomatoes because I want the tomato flavor to come through more than the flavor of the carrots. So this is half of a can of carrots. If you used a big double-sized can of tomato sauce, the 28-ounce can, you can use the whole can of carrots. There we go. Mix in. Oh, look, you can't even tell. Who knew? Cool, so I'm just gonna bring that up to a little bubble and then add my Italian seasoning, season it to taste, and then that's your tomato sauce for your very, very simple spaghetti. You can add this to some browned meat like you would for a meat sauce, or if you make meatballs, you can serve it over the top of your pasta and meatballs, or you can eat it without any meat protein, especially if you're using a whole grain pasta. Whole grain pasta has more protein in it than regular pasta. So if you're eating other protein sources throughout the day, you may be good to just eat your plain pasta and sauce at the end of the day, because we actually need much less protein than most of us. That's a conversation for another day. Okay. That smells garlicky, which is exactly what I wanted. Okay, I need one more pan. I didn't grab my other skillet. Okay. So last but not least, this is going to be the honey mustard glazed carrots. I'm really excited about this. This is actually the first time I'm making this type of glaze for canned carrots. Some of the other options on our handout in the resource folder are like apple cinnamon glaze. There is an orange spiced glaze. Let me see. There is, I'm drawing a blank on the rest of them. There are 6 different glazes and they're all sweet. The sweet flavor helps to boost the sweetness of the carrots, but also it really helps, I don't want to say mask the flavor of the canned carrot, but they need a sweet to balance it out. So here we are. I'm going to turn my skillet on just to medium-ish heat, and I'm going to use butter for this part. So I'm only going to use a tablespoon. It's not that much. Okay, so this is my 1 whole can of carrots, drained and rinsed. There's still some liquid in here. I'm gonna try to get that out real quick, just so there. We're not adding too much of that, because that was water on our carrots, and what we want is to save a little bit of the liquid from the canned carrots when we drain it, to add it to the dish to figure out the consistency. So we're not tossing all of the water. So when you drain your carrots, put your strainer over the top of a bowl, and then you'll catch all of the liquid. Okay. So here, I'm just going to use 1 tablespoon of butter. This one is nice and soft, so it's not cutting very well. All right, butter in the pan. Oh, I'm frozen. My phone stopped. Oh goodness. Okay, well, I'm still here. My other camera got a little overheated because it was over the top of my cooktop here, so I had to take it away. We're still good. We're still working. So I have here my butter in the pan that I have melted. What I'm gonna do is add my Dijon mustard. So that's just a fancy mustard. You can use regular mustard, or you can use spicy mustard, like whatever your preference is for mustard. You can use any of those. So butter is almost melted completely. I'm gonna add my mustard. This is 1 tablespoon of mustard for 1 can of carrots. Mustard. And then for your sweet, to make this honey mustard, you can use honey or you can use brown sugar. You've got a couple of options there. So all I'm doing is mixing in the mustard with the butter. And then as soon as it's all mixed together, I'm gonna add the sugar. You wanna wait till the rest of your dish is mixed in, so the bottom of your pan is coated with something else before you add your sugar, because you don't wanna add your sugar straight to the pan because it might cook very quickly or burn, and we wanna make sure it's got a buffer. So, I mean, that's just butter and mustard and it smells delicious. Okay. So the recipe called for 2 tablespoons of honey or 2 tablespoons of sugar, and that kind of feels like a lot. So I'm gonna start with 1 and I'm gonna see how it tastes. Okay, here's 1 tablespoon of honey. Get it all mixed in there. Okay. Honey and mustard. Oh my goodness, that smells amazing. Do we have any mustard fans? Is the sound appealing to you all? I really just made this for me. And to show you something that's really different from what you might usually make. I reached out to some people on social media, and almost every single idea that they gave me was about cinnamon and sugar and butter. Cinnamon, sugar, butter. That was how they all prepared their canned carrots. So yes, that is an option. That is going to be delicious. We like mashed sweet potatoes with cinnamon and butter. So this is wouldn't be very different to also use that for carrots. So I wanted to give you something a little savory and different. So I'm gonna add my carrots to my pan with my mustard and my honey mixture. I'm just gonna mix it together. Okay. Okay, so let me see if I can show you this. All right, there they are. Got some mustard and the carrots. It honestly doesn't look like I really need to add any of the juice from the can because everything is moving around really well. It's not stuck. It doesn't look dry. This actually looks beautiful. Okay. Let me give it a little taste, see if it needs anything. You notice I haven't added any salt yet, so I'm tasting it before I add the salt so I can think about how much I need before I just go throw some in there. Okay. So it's very mustardy, not very sweet. So I think that's why he called for 2 tablespoons of honey. I'm not going to put a whole second tablespoon, but I am going to do a nice little circle. Just give it a little bit more of that sweet to make it taste like honey mustard. It smells like honey mustard. It's just not at the sweet level just yet. Okay. Mix, mix, mix. Okay. Ooh, tomato sauce is popping. I didn't put a lid on there, so it's starting to pop out. Okay. Here's my carrots. Let me give them one more taste. Yeah, that's better. Much better. To me, I don't think it really needs any salt because you're getting a bite of sour from the mustard. So I don't think it needs salt because you've got a little bit of salt from the carrots, and then you've got some sour and you've got some sweet. So I think it tastes pretty balanced. That is my taste. So these are honey mustard glazed carrots. You can add other seasonings or spices, or maybe I'll just add a little bit of black pepper here, but this is where you can make this your own according to your taste. I'm just gonna put a little bit of black pepper, just a little, to give it a little bit a different visual. So right now it just looks like carrots with a sauce on it. So adding that pepper makes it look a little bit more taking it to the next level. Okay, so that's my carrots. And then, so we're gonna go back to our sauce. I had to turn it down because it started to pop at me and I did not want tomato sauce all over the place. I think we may have all been there. I've definitely had some. It's so thick that when it boils, it's different. It has to push everything out of the way instead of water. So let's give it a taste. See if it needs any other flavor added. And I'm gonna add that Italian seasoning, but I wanna see what it tastes like before. There's no carrot flavor there at all. But it does just taste like plain tomato sauce at the moment. So let's add the rest of our seasonings. Let me turn this on low. I'm gonna turn this back on to, I need a little bit of heat going in here. So let's add some Italian seasoning. No measuring, not necessary. No salt in this, so you can add as much or as little as you want. Just add a little bit more garlic. I don't think you can ever go wrong with too much garlic. There are people that would disagree with me that know a lot more than I do about cooking, but I like it. Okay. Go. Mix, mix. It is beautiful and smooth. I didn't want to add anything else to this sauce so you could see how well the carrots mix in. I'm gonna add a little more Italian seasoning because I can't see it. I mixed it and I couldn't see it anymore. Okay. Okay, let's give it another taste. I still haven't added salt. We're almost there. Almost there. A little more garlic. I mean, that's what we do when we cook at home, right? We add and taste until it tastes the way that you want it to. All right. Let me grab a little bit of salt. That was a tiny little pinch that I just poured into my hand. Okay, one more taste. There we go. Okay, other camera is still out of the picture, so we're just gonna continue like this. Let me get all my stuff out of the way and let's start serving up some taste.
Do I need a bowl?
Yes, please. I was just about to ask you. Yes. This one out the way. This oatmeal smells amazing. So my wheels are turning over here, and I'm imagining plating this oatmeal up in a muffin tin. So you've got individual oatmeal muffins, and you can keep them in your fridge for the week. So this pan is half of the original recipe. So this serves 3 people. So you get a decent amount of oatmeal per serving. This isn't a little tiny scoop of oatmeal. Okay. So let's get some glazed carrots. Honey mustard glazed carrots. There's your carrots. And then let me get some of the spaghetti. Okay. Does anyone still use these in their kitchen? We would like always had a spaghetti ladle. Okay, so make some spaghetti. There we go. I'm just gonna pour some sauce on top. All right, so that's our carrot spaghetti sauce. It's like it's red as it can be. It doesn't look like there's anything else added to it. Okay. Oh, I didn't serve up this. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Okay. So this is about 1/3 of this dish for the oatmeal. It makes this beautiful, like it's just easy to cut, solid piece of bacon. Look at that, Joy.
Wow.
Wow, right?
It looks like banana bread or something.
It does. It looks like it does. And it's got this beautiful brown color all the way around. I'm really excited. That would definitely hold up in a muffin tin. That would be beautiful. Okay. All right, I'm passing one along to Joy. We're going to taste it at the same time. It looks amazing.
It does. Oh my goodness.
It looks so good. Okay.
I'm gonna go for the crust on the outside.
Oh, good call.
Favorite. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That was a keeper.
Oh yeah. I might actually buy some canned carrots now. Just
I did it, y'all.
You made a believer out of me, Kristen.
They're really good.
Oh my
The
gosh.
texture is just perfect. It's perfect.
You know what? And I usually don't eat veggies at breakfast. I usually eat fruit with my breakfast, and this is a really great way to get some veggies in there.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Unless you're eating like eggs where you stir in some veggies to it, it's sometimes kind of hard to get creative with veggies for breakfast. That's a really good point. I don't really taste the cream cheese on the top. I think it was for fun and for looks.
Yeah, I feel like I don't really notice it. I mean, you can kind of see it, but I might just do this without the cream cheese, or maybe add a little bit of a cream cheese glaze without an egg on the top. Before it comes out.
After, good idea. It might be easier to pour or to dollop if it doesn't have the egg in it. No idea.
Good dollop with just some Greek yogurt.
Yeah, so this recipe came from Budget Bites, which is one of Joy's favorite sites. And one of her serving recommendations was to pour milk over it and eat it. Like in the South, we would do like milk over cornbread or buttermilk over cornbread. Like that's really old school, but it's delicious. So similar way to eat it. This is a keeper. I hope you all try this recipe. Really good. Okay. And then let's give Joy some carrots and see what she thinks. All right, next.
A little bit more skeptical of these because they actually look like canned carrots. We'll see how they taste.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
The flavor is fantastic. They don't have that tinny canned carrot taste at all. It's really good.
That's really good. And the carrots have the perfect texture. So we didn't cook them really any longer in the pan. We just mixed them into the sauce that we made, which took 2 minutes to make that sauce. So that's also very delicious. So I highly recommend going into that resource in our folder for healthy ways to use canned carrots. Sorry, too many flavors going on.
Kristen, do you think you could do that sauce in the microwave?
Yes, yes.
Save on dishes?
Absolutely you can. And the handout gives you the instructions for cooking it in the microwave.
Perfect.
I don't know if you knew that, but
I didn't know that.
good question. Okay, last but not least, this is our tomato sauce that we're gonna taste with the carrot puree.
Well, first of all, I don't see any carrots. Like I don't see anything that like might give me any kind of hint that there might be canned carrots in here. It just looks like regular spaghetti. And it tastes like regular spaghetti.
It tastes like regular spaghetti. It's in there, so if you notice all of the things, so this sauce specifically is red. So the carrots are going to blend into any sauce that is red or orange. Maybe yellow, but it's going to change the color just a little bit. If you're expecting the final dish to have an orange or red or yellow color, your canned carrots are going to mix in really well there. So add it to your enchilada sauce, add it to your spaghetti sauce. You can use our sloppy joe recipe and you can add the carrots into that, and they're just going to disappear and add an extra vegetable to your day and to your meals. I started this, doing this research around the idea of hiding them because we want to like trick our kids into eating more vegetables if they're really picky. But as I was researching, I learned that that's not necessarily the best way to go about getting kids to eat vegetables, because they may not trust you after you serve them something that they eat all the time that doesn't taste like it usually does. So kids know more than you think they know. So a really good way to incorporate these ingredients into their favorite dishes is to get them involved with the food prep. So when you're mashing carrots, put in a bag and let the kids mash them up and talk about how we're going to try something just a little bit different today. And encouraging new vegetables that way. But also if your kid's like really young and they don't have the skills to ask like what is in this, or they're not going to see it and they may not know, it's a little bit easier to incorporate some of these things. So I just wanted to say that hiding vegetables is not always the best choice. So you know your kid and you know if they're really strong-willed or if they're very particular, or they may even be like super tasters. So they're going to know when something is off. So just, excuse me, keep that in mind. I'm hiccuping because I'm hungry. All these little baby tastes is just not getting it for me. Okay. Well, I hope you took away something new today, especially this carrot cake oatmeal recipe. This is probably going to be something that I actually make. I know Joy is going to make this because Joy is a baked oatmeal person.
I make baked oatmeal all the time with blueberries.
Yes, I remember that.
Oh my gosh. But my family is crazy about carrot cake. Like we usually have carrot cakes for all the birthdays. So
yeah,
I can see this being a huge hit.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think so. To our taste, because Joy and I think we eat a little less sweet things. You might think, or the general you might think this is just a little less sweet than you might expect it to be. But adding a Greek yogurt or like a vanilla Greek yogurt on top would be like the punch that it needs to bring it up to that sweet, enough sweet that you're expecting from oatmeal. This is fantastic. Thank you all for joining us today. I guess I should ask if we have any questions in the chat box. Do we have some dialogue going on today?
Louisa 14 says, this looks so good. And Althea says, it looks delicious. Let's see. And Veronica chimed in about Dijon mustard. She says she likes to use it on pork and apples, but hasn't tried it on carrots yet.
It's really good, Veronica. You should try it.
Those are all of our comments pretty much.
Awesome. Well, I hope you learned something new and you will try something new with canned carrots in your kitchen. Please let us know if you do. We want to know what you're making and what recipes resonate the most with you. And take a look at that healthy ways to use canned carrots handout. It's got a ton of ideas for incorporating canned carrots into your meals. So thanks again for joining us for episode number 21. We will be back, let's see, on the second Tuesday of April. We're going to be mixing things up. So you're going to see Joy for one episode a month, and then I will be on the other episode a month. So you're going to see a new face and learn some new things from new people. Also, last but not least, we have our second episode of our Spanish version of Quarantine Kitchen called Come Bien en Casa. That's going to be on the third Tuesday of April. So that'll be April 20th at 3 p.m. This is a new endeavor that we're doing to see how we can reach more of our community members. So tune in then if you understand Spanish, because Louisa did a fantastic job last week on our first episode. And just pass the info along to anyone who you think will benefit or be interested. Okay, friends, have a great day and eat some canned carrots.